Hello, and it's good to have you join us again on Maritime Radar. As Nigeria continues to look at ways to harness the numerous potential of its maritime sector, experts have advocated for sustainable practices to ensure the long-term health and productivity of its blue economy. Nigeria needs to take seriously the issue of policies and stringent regulations that support environmental protection, economic efficiency, and social responsibility. The maritime industry needs to be strategic and decisive about sustainability as well as exploiting the range of opportunities that the blue economy offers, looking beyond the traditional shipping and port operations. Assessing the impact of the Nigerian Shippers Council reforms to the development of the maritime industry are some of the issues that will be on the front burner on today's show. I'm Norma Obiaswalo. Since 1978, Nigerian Shippers Council, entrusted with safeguarding the interests of Nigerian shippers, has grappled with challenges that show the broader complexities of the maritime sector. Inefficiencies plagued operations, disputes lingered unresolved, and the voices of shippers often echoed unheard. However, under the leadership of Pius Akutah, the Council is witnessing a truly transformative period characterized by a wave of silent reforms, revolutionizing the operations of the institution and enhancing its service to Nigeria by improving efficiency, transparency, and accountability within the Council. Before we get further into today's lineup on the program, let's find out the latest in maritime news.
The Nigerian Customs Service and the Federal Road Safety Commission have announced a collaboration aimed at strengthening cargo transportation in the country. This is due to the vital contributions of the haulage business to Nigeria's economic growth. The collaboration will also focus on the critical need for trucks transporting cargoes from Nigeria's seaports to adhere to all the safety protocols, which will aid the safe movement of cargoes across the country.
The objectives of this program, among others, are to enlighten drivers on how to curtail their excesses and prevent crashes that involve tankers, trailers, and trucks at the point of loading, in transit, and at final destinations.
The Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Pius Akutah, and the FISC Corps Marshal, Shehu Mohammed, noted that this initiative is to promote a culture of road safety, which is vital for national development. Akutah emphasized that those who invested heavily in the transport infrastructure to support the economy should have their interests protected.
You hear the stakeholders complaining about the hoodlums on the roads trying to attack their cargoes and all that, destroy some of the cargoes and all that. These are issues that the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy and indeed the Nigerian Shippers Council is completely working on to see how we can eliminate all these issues, those challenges to, make the movement of this cargo very smooth and very efficient, and at the end of the day, boost the economy in a manner that will increase the national GDP.
Corps Marshal Mohammed highlighted the severe impact of attacks on the haulage sector.
We are also going to collaborate with the Office of the National Security Advisor, and we also on our own part, we're doing what we call the eyewitness report, whereby public can report what our men, officers, or whoever on the road are doing, so that from our monitoring unit in the office, we can monitor and take action so that we stop those patrol misconduct for Nigeria to move on.
Truck operators complained about the constant extortion from hoodlums along the port corridor and said that they were hopeful that the partnership will see issues addressed to ensure economic development. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council has reported a 6.26% increase in non-oil exports, generating $2.7 billion in the first half of 2024, up from $2.5 billion in the same period in 2023. Executive Director Nonye Ayeni highlighted this in the presentation of the Council's reports. Ayeni attributed this growth to the successful transition of government in May 2023 and policy initiatives under President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. She noted that the council is committed to collaborating with stakeholders to stimulate export growth. Ayeni highlighted the growing prominence of exportable products like fresh vegetables, citrus peel, and sorghum. The executive director also underscored the untapped potential in the services sector, particularly in logistics and ICT, and urged financial institutions to support exporters with affordable finance, stressing the importance of reducing rejected products by ensuring adherence to global quality and standards.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Maritime Radar. Our guest this week is the digital Pius Akutah, Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Shippers Council. Recognizing that the maritime industry is a complex ecosystem and sustainable progress requires collaboration, has forged strong partnership with government agencies, private sector stakeholders, and academic institutions leveraging their expertise and resources to drive positive change. These initiatives are geared towards fostering stronger collaborations and partnerships with relevant stakeholders, both nationally and internationally, forging strategic alliances with shipping lines, port operators, and other government agencies. Another highlight of this initiative has been the establishment of the Shippers Complaints Unit, a dedicated platform for shippers to voice their grievances and seek redress. He is also a vocal advocate for the rights of Nigerian shippers on the international stage and has engaged with port authorities and shipping lines around the world, pushing for fairer tariffs, reduced demurrage charges, and improved service standards. In this chart, he reels out apt reforms plus the impact of the Nigerian Shipping and Port Economic Regulatory Agency Bill, which aims to empower the Nigerian Shippers Council to effectively regulate the shipping industry, protect the interests of shippers, and promote economic growth. Stay with us. I'll say congratulations, sir, because this is my first official with you. Yes. So congratulations on this well-deserved appointment.
Thank you very much.
I must say you came prepared, looking at the sterling achievements in just 10 months. What's more fulfilling for you? Which of them is most fulfilling for you?
Yeah, the last achievement that we recorded last week, where the minister was here himself to validate the minimum standards for workers in the maritime sector, especially in the shipping subsector of the industry, where for almost 30 years there has been this move to set minimum standards for their remunerations and fringe benefits, which has not happened. But within the first 3 months of our coming on board, we're able to finalize that agreement. And last week, Friday, the minister validated it and signed it, and it's now in operation. That's quite fulfilling because it goes to the core of the belief of this administration to look at the welfare of people who work even in government and even in the private sector. So that's one of the most fulfilling moments for me so far in the last 10 months.
You've encountered challenges delivering your core mandate. Which one or what strategies have you been able to put together to be able to surmount them?
Yeah, when I came in from my previous life as a prosecutor, you can't win a case in court if you don't prepare. So that background has been one of my strongest points, because for everything I intend to do, I have to prepare ahead of time. I don't walk into a challenge and then begin to think about what to do. I first prepare. And how do I prepare here? I have human capital resource that is most crucial in preparing for the work I do here. I met on ground a group of very qualified people who understand the sector, who know the challenges, and who are competent to deliver the mandate of this agency, having been working here for so many years. So I take advantage of that human capital resource that I have as one of the major driving force behind all the achievements that I've recorded so far.
Okay, talk us through your passion to facilitate the establishment of inland dry port in many parts of the country. This, I believe, will create jobs and drive revenue generation. So what about that passion?
Yeah, when I came in here, it has been a policy of the government to decongest the seaports. And Nigerian Shippers Council is in the driver's seat of developing inland dry ports in the hinterland. And that was also to create this critical infrastructure that will decongest the seaport and give seamless movement of cargo from the seaport to the hinterland. And these inland dry ports were designated already as ports of origin and destination, meaning that you can, from the inland dry port, ship out any goods you have to any destination around the world. And from the inland dry port, you can also receive any shipment coming from any part of the world to destination. So these facilities are meant to be used as ports of origin and destination. So shippers can stay there and do their businesses without coming to the seaport.
From your response, I got two things. So we'll take them one after the other. One is collaboration, which you have been doing a lot of that. But I will start from the laws and policies that should drive the marine and blue economy. So your bill, Shippers Council bill at the National Assembly. Yes. So can you talk to us shed more light on that and on its impact to the economy, or diversifying from the non-oil to?
Thank you very much. So this law, like I said, 1978 was when the Nigerian Shippers Council was created. And up to date, that law...
That's 46 years.
Yes, 46 years. That law has not been amended. It remained the same law from inception to date. So you agree with me that a lot of things would be wrong with that law. Even the implementation of that law today will not give us the required results. One, the Shippers Council at that time was an agency of government that was saddled with responsibility to look at the welfare and interests of shippers in terms of the freight rates, negotiating freight rates with foreign companies on their behalf, fixing the freight rates and ensuring that the competition was healthy among the stakeholders, the players in the industry, and all of that. At the end of the day, as years went by, Shippers Council started transmuting into a regulatory agency where the Nigerian Shippers Council was no longer looking at the interests of shippers alone, but was also looking at the health of the entire economic activities in the sector. So, looking more at economic regulation now, that law cannot help us. So, we have to now look at a new scope for the agency, and that will include, so many other aspects like the strengthening of the markets in the sector, trying to look at the issue of enforcement of regulations, looking at monitoring of compliance of some of the activities, promoting the policies of government, economic policies of government in the sector, and so many others. And then you also look at what AFTA has done. For us to come under the AFTA regime, we have one free market in the whole of Africa. A market of over 1 billion people with a GDP, combined GDP of about $1.3 trillion. So there is so much economic activities that has come already into the sector for which Nigeria needs to wake up. These are some of the benefits that this law will bring.
Okay, the other leg of what you mentioned was collaboration, but we will talk about that after this short break. Please stay with us.
Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting, and this is where it begins, right here at News Central TV, with stories that put Africa first.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Maritime Radar, and I still have with me Pius Akutah. He is the Executive Secretary and CEO of Nigerian Shippers Council. Before we went on that break, I said we are going to talk about collaboration. You've been doing a lot of that lately.
Yes.
So let us look at the collaboration that you are having with Nigerian Rail Corporation in terms of driving the movement of cargoes from the ports. So how has that fared, and how will that impact the economy?
Yes, we believe that the most efficient and the cheapest transport mode is the rail transportation. Today, about 80% of cargo that moves into the hinterlands from the seaport is by land, and it is by the roads. This is putting a lot of pressure on the road networks in the country, putting a lot of pressure on the transport system, on the land transport system, especially the road. Remember that our roads are built basically to carry, commute passengers. So you see a lot of accidents also happening on the roads, and all of that as a result of too many of these haulage trucks moving on the roads. There's congestion and so many kind of issues happening out there on the road, insecurity and all that. So it is our duty as Nigerian Shippers Council to protect the safety and security of cargo that moves from the seaport into the hinterlands to their destinations, and not just to their destinations, but as they eventually get into the market and to the last consumer. So we have, in this regard, we have partnership not only with the Nigerian Railway Corporation.
Okay.
We also have partnership with the Nigerian Road Safety, the Federal Road Safety Corps, which today we even had a meeting. The Corps Marshal of the Road Safety was here in this office this morning, and we had a stakeholder engagement which is ongoing.
Okay, what other reforms should we expect from Nigerian Shippers Council, which is geared towards driving economic development?
Yes, these reforms are necessary, particularly now that we are under the African Free Continental Trade Agreement. We need to reform to be able to take advantage, full advantage of that open market that we have today. Like, for instance, talking about harmonization of trade laws within Africa, so that the trade laws we practice in Nigeria should be the same with the trade laws in other African countries. That will give us maximum impact on what we're doing. Look at intellectual property rights, and the protection of those intellectual property rights, because going forward, our markets are open. So we need to be able to protect the rights of the intellectual property rights of our people. Now, investment laws, we also have to reform, because for us to be able to attract foreign direct investment into our country now, with this kind of market that is open now, we need to also reform our investment laws. We also to look at the competition policy, like you also talk about how competitive should our ports be to be able to attract cargo coming into Nigeria, other than being diverted into other countries around the West African region here. Now, we talk about infrastructural development laws. We need to also look into those, because there are standards in terms of infrastructural development. If you don't meet up those standards, then we are not doing anything. We will soon go back to square one to start all over again. We must have to have an infrastructural development legal framework
that will govern the standards, the overall standards of infrastructural development, that we do it once and for all. We don't keep on going forth and back and all that. And then this will also facilitate large-scale infrastructural development, because that's what is needed in this sector. So if we don't have laws in place or structures in place that will facilitate this large-scale infrastructural development, then it will also not be very helpful. Then we look at the issue of international cooperation, and then the policy on cybercrime and cybersecurity.
Okay.
These are issues that will definitely come up. So how do we cooperate with the other countries within the sub-region and within the continent? We have to create a very strong international cooperation regime, so that, I give you an example. When the East African Community States came up with the mobile money policy, and then they started the mobile money in countries like Kenya, like in Tanzania, like in Uganda, a lot of criminals began to take advantage of these platforms and started, stealing money from people via the platforms. And it became a big challenge. How do you arrest someone who has moved from Kenya to Tanzania and has committed a mobile money fraud in Kenya?
Okay.
You arrest him, but you have to go through a formal process of extradition, for instance, to bring him back to Tanzania to stand trial, which will take a long period of time. So what the East African Community and indeed other critical international development partners did was to set up a mechanism for informal cooperation within the East African Community states to deal with that menace. So today, they have a warrant of arrest that is like the European warrant of arrest, where you can just pick someone from one country, and under the influence of that warrant of arrest, you can move him straight to the other country where he can stand trial. Here in Africa today, in terms of our trade facilitation, things have changed. Trade is moving across the countries without borders. We have one single market.
So before I let you go, what are the things that we are expecting in 2024, in the remaining days of 2024, aside the bill?
Yes, and the bill, again, like I said, we have not only one bill. We have the bill, the repeal and enactment bill for the new agency that the agency will transmute into, if passed into law and assented by the president. Apart from that, we also have the carriage of goods by land, which I mentioned here, which will establish the liability regime for the transport value chain from the seaport to the hinterlands. We also have the
Is that supposed to address the logistics chain?
Yes, it will address the logistic chain, and it will create a liability regime for it, so that it takes care of the movement of goods from the seaport into the hinterland, either by land, by road, by rail. Once it is by land, everything covered by land, it takes care of that. So it gives a kind of comfort to shipping companies to establish bill of lading that we show the destination to be one of the inland dry ports in the hinterlands. So we need to work on that bill also to come to fruition. And then we have the Hague Rule and the Hamburg Rule, two of them being implemented. Although people have argued elsewhere that the Hague Rule of 1924, although in Nigeria as well, the court, even the Supreme Court, has heard that the Hague Rule of 1924 is an existing law. So it is a law existing in Nigeria by status of general applications as one of the received laws, English laws that came to Nigeria. It's one of the conventions
before independence,
that Nigeria received also before independence of 1924. But we also have the Hamburg Rule of 1978. So the two regimes are being operated in Nigeria concurrently. Okay. But we are saying that the Hamburg Rule is more favorable to the Nigerian shippers. It provides more opportunities to them, and it is not so cumbersome. let us use that rule in Nigeria, other than the establishment of the two of them concurrently. So let's use one of them. We'll repeal one and let one of them be domesticated for use in Nigeria. So these are all legal structures that we want to lay for the new agency to hit the ground running. And then we are expecting that between now and the end of 2024, we have more stakeholder engagement. We engage more with public institutions to see how some of the challenges that have been raised already, like today at the stakeholder engagement, we have some challenges that have raised. Some of them we need to meet with stakeholders to continue in that regard, and to see that at the end of the day, the Shippers Council, through what we do, has added value to the economy, because that is ultimately, that's our drive. And to see that the president achieves his mandate for the industry, and at the end of the day, the national GDP of the country is improved tremendously by what we do. That's our desire.
Driving, doing everything he can to ensure that the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy is being driven with policies, laws that will ensure economic development. Those are the words of Pius Akutah. He is the Executive Secretary and CEO, Nigerian Shippers Council. I must say thank you for your time and your thoughts. And I must say you're doing a lot. Well done in all you do, and I wish you well. And I pray that all this bill will be passed to ensure that its impact in the country. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And that's our show this week. I hope the objective of showcasing the Nigerian Shippers Council reforms that is geared towards building a solid foundation that will drive the maritime industry was impactful. If yes, join us every week on the Maritime Radar to explore potentials that will ensure the development of the maritime sector in Africa. You can also expect the latest in global and local maritime news, plus industry insight right here. I'm Norma Obiaswalo. Many thanks for your time, and see you again next week.